Everyone loves brisket, everyone loves ribs, everyone loves pulled pork. But what about sausage? Do you think of a barbecued sausage as part of your barbecue platter? Hi, Keith here from Dusty Roads Barbecue. Today, I'm going to show you how to turn a pork butt into amazing smoked pork sausage. Check this out. First, we need a big old butt. Now this is a bone-in butt, so we're going to have to cut around that bone, remove it, and then dice it up into small cubes. This cut will have enough fat in it that we don't need to add any extra. Okay, once we have our pork butt deboned, now we're going to cut them up into small 1-inch by 1-inch cubes. Now if you're starting with some lean meat and fat, your perfect ratio is going to be about 70-30 for sausage, 30% fat, 70% lean meat. But with a pork butt, we have that perfect ratio already built in. Now that we've got our pork butt all chopped up, the important thing to do is weigh it. We've got to weigh the meat so that we can calculate the spice ratios. Now I love a nice sweet rub on pork. So we're going to make a sweet rub without the salt, and then measure that by weight and add that as the seasoning mix to our sausage. We're going to start by mixing together a 3/4 cup of brown sugar, 3 tablespoons garlic, 3 tablespoons smoked paprika, 3 tablespoons onion powder, 2 tablespoons ground mustard, 1 tablespoon black pepper, and 1 tablespoon chipotle powder. Because we're specifically measuring out the salt, we want to make sure that our spice blend does not have salt in it. But of course we need salt, so we're just going to measure that separately at 1.5% to the weight of the meat, which is 45.5 grams, as well as the milk powder, which is 4%, or 121 grams. A pink salt to make sure we don't get any nasty bacteria growing in there, and that will be 0.25%, or in this case, 7.5 grams. And then we measure out that sweet rub that we just made, looking for 1.7% to the weight of the meat. So we have salt, 1.5% to the meat, pink salt, 0.25% to the meat weight, milk powder, 4% to the weight of meat. We'll add some water later at 10%, and our seasoning mix is 1.7%. Now you're ready to go. And now, one of my favorite parts of making sausage, grinding the meat. You're going to want to put your grinder parts in the freezer for about 1.5 hours, as well as your cubed pork in the freezer for about 1 hour before you grind. You want to keep everything cold during this process. You can use a large die to grind your meat. You can use a small die to grind your meat. It's whatever consistency you like. I like to do a double large grind. The double large grind gives the meat a nice consistency and mouthfeel. It's not like a hot dog. Although you can use this for a sausage, smoky, or just slice it up and put it on a plate. So all in all, we've got 3,028 grams of meat. That's 3 kilograms of meat. Now we need to add our salt, which is 1.5%, or 45.5 grams. I'm using a smaller ground coarse salt. Then we have pink salt, which is 0.25% of the meat, or 7.5 grams. We've got our seasoning mix, which is 1.7%, or 52 grams. Now we're going to roll up our sleeves and give this a mix. Now we're going to add our milk powder, which is 4% of the weight of the meat, or 121 grams. And now in our 10% of weight by volume in water, 300 grams. Now we're time to stuff and case. To make these sausages, I'm using all natural hog casings from the sausage maker. You want to be sure to separate them individually, place them in water, let them sit for 20 to 30 minutes before you stuff. Now we're ready to stuff. So, we take our sausage mixture. And we got the sausage maker 5-pound stuffer. We're gonna fill it up completely, pushing out all the air bubbles. You do not want air in your sausages or you will burst your casings. Just take a few handfuls at a time and press it down. Push all that air out. And now you want to crank just enough to get the meat starting to come out the horn. You want to push all the air out before you start putting your casing on. And pro tip number 1, lubricate your horn. You want that casing to slide on nice and easy. And now applying a light pressure to the casing, you crank slowly, let that sausage come out. About 3 cranks on this machine, get you a nice link. And then we just tie off that casing, place the sausages onto a wire rack, and into the fridge overnight for 24 hours to let that casing dry. Now that it's been 24 hours in the fridge and these sausages have dried out, it's time to snip the tips and get them on the smoker. About 3 hours smoking at 150 to 160 degrees has these sausages looking mighty fine. After those sausages are done smoking, it's time for the ice bath. This both stops the cooking process and cleans your weenies, because everyone likes a clean ween. And here you go, pork sausages ready to eat. You can throw these on the grill, in the air fryer, or vacuum seal them, place them in the freezer, and save them for later. I decided to give these ones a quick cook in the air fryer because I couldn't wait any longer. Do you make your own sausage at home? If so, let me know in the comments what kind of recipe or spice blend you use. Or if you try this one, let me know how it turns out.